Hello, hello. Isabelle here with
And Margarita,
and we're the guests today on
the Inspiring Show.
Welcome to The Inspiring Show with Paul and Jennifer Hensel, featuring inspiring interviews with thought leaders, storytellers, entrepreneurs, influencers, and legacy builders just like you. Learn from experts about finding your voice, mastering your mindset, and creating movements with your message. Tap into timeless wisdom and today's top strategies for transcending to new levels of success, happiness, and joy.
Hi, everyone. This is Paul and Jennifer Hensel from The Inspiring Show.
I'm so excited for our guests today, Isabelle Mercier and Margarita Romano. And I've known Isabelle for many years. I've had her speak at some of my events.
Now, Isabelle is a brand and business performance catalyst, also known as the momentum generator, a no-nonsense dynamo, helping passionate entrepreneurs identify, develop, implement, and deliver spectacular, impactful brands. Now, Margarita is an equine-guided strategist, also known as the detail nut, a super freak processor helping passionate entrepreneurs connect the dots to lead fulfilling lives driven by heart and soul. Now, unlike business, there are no schools for creating successful personal relationships. After almost 30 years of living and working together, and also working with couple-preneurs, Isabelle and Margarita have uncovered that there is great relationship wisdom in learning from what makes a business thrive.
And we just watched their TED Talk, and so we just wanted to have them on the show to share their inspiring story with you. And this is actually Isabelle's second TED Talk. So all the links will be in the show notes at inspiringshow.com. So enjoy our interview today with Isabelle and Margarita.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Isabelle and Margarita. It's such a pleasure to have you both as guests.
You're welcome.
Thank
Absolute
you.
pleasure.
Wonderful. Oh, well, we were so thrilled to watch your TED Talk recently. And I cannot believe how much more I learned about you guys. I mean, I've known you guys over the years, Isabelle. I've had you speak at some of my events and things like that. I just love what you guys are doing there. And your journey and story is so inspiring. And I'm just wondering if you can share with our audience. I was shocked to see how many years you guys were together and doing business together. It's just an amazing story. Could you share how long have you been together and your story of how you met and how you got to where you are now?
I know, almost 30 years with this one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost 30 years.
Met in university.
Yeah. And you know, with 30 years when you're in business and in personal relationship together, there's definitely lots of opportunities for growth, for sure. But yeah, we met in university. I did not speak a word of English, went to an English university, and
I was her full-time translator, basically.
Full-time, great friend, full-time translator, eventually with benefits. No. that truly is how we met. And both of us, we don't consider ourselves gay. Not that there's anything wrong with being gay at all, obviously, but we both are very clear that we don't know if we weren't with one another, we don't know if we would be with a man or with a woman. But as we were 18 years old, you know,
We both had boyfriends before that. So it was, you know, when we met, that wasn't on the brain. You know, we met as friends and then realized this is actually more. Right?
Yeah. And I'm the one who was pretty infatuated with this one. We both had boyfriends, as she said. And at some point, you know, as our relationship, our friendship grew, I completely was enamored. I was like, oh my God, this is my soulmate. This is love at first sight, soulmate. And I was 18. It's not like I knew much about that. I certainly didn't know that I was going to end up being with a woman. Then of course, you know, we think about our parents and our friends and we're like, oh my God, what have we done? We can't do this to our parents, Italian parents over here.
Well, it took us 2 years to tell anybody.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Like it was a very long process for us to finally just say, okay, no, this is the real thing. Because we were actually like, well, we're in university. Isn't this when people experiment? Isn't this like, maybe it's not a forever thing, maybe, so we didn't really put it out there until it became harder to be together in that bubble than it was to be
protected from what could happen, right? So, and I didn't want to, both of us, I think we didn't want to raise hell in our families for a little fling that might not be anything.
Mm-hmm.
But within a few months, we knew that we were going to be committed together for forever. And within 2 years, we had to do something. We had to tell the world, otherwise it was becoming very difficult for our couple to withstand the secrecy. And secrecy in love is fun at the beginning, but eventually you're like, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
So you guys have been taking brave action for a long time. I mean, that was brave 30 years ago.
That was very brave.
Yeah. It was not, it was obviously not taken lightly, right? For us to wait 2 years. So our relationship actually started on that foot. And so, and we've been on that path ever since.
Yeah, brave conversations, we have them a lot, like we said in the talk, right? We're like, a lot. That's so true.
So how has your relationship given you the tools to excel at entrepreneurship and couple-preneurship?
Yeah.
Well, I would say it's the business that's helped our relationship. And like, we've also been in business, almost 30 years, right?
Long,
like
yeah.
We did university and then basically we're in business together. So that has played a big part in our growth because we grew up being business owners and together. So, and the principles that we learned and applied to create successful businesses, because this is our second one, we started to apply to how we are as a couple, right? Because we're business partners and life partners. Mm-hmm. And they work interchangeably. Like, what has us succeed in business has us succeed in our relationship.
And I think that because we've been coached, we've been with the coach, different coaches along the years, but we've been coached since probably month 3 or 4 of our business. So early on, we figured out that, we're really, really good at this. We're not so good at that. And we met a particular coach that became a great friend, and he's our power of attorney today. He married us. But this person was helping us in our business. But of course, businesses are made out of what? People and relationships, right? So our coaching with this coach was about our relationship, about our boundaries, about our bravery, about strategies that would help us grow as human beings, as a couple, but also, of course, benefiting business. And so when business was the subject, it benefited us personally. And when personal coaching session occurred, it also benefited us on the business side. So we see that as a beautiful symbiotic relationship.
And also the coaching allowed us to keep growing together. So because like if one starts growing and evolving and the other one is stuck, that's where, distance starts happening between the couple.
So we've always been coached together and separately with the same coaches, but definitely together for sure. So that we grow together and not one more than the other, or and that has allowed us to really step into each of our geniuses separately and also combine our geniuses together, which has been super interesting along the years.
And keep combining them, like as things evolve, right? Because things do evolve.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, you obviously both have different skill sets. So you find, as a couple and working together as well, that those gel real well. Because I always say to Jen, like, together we're like one complete person.
Yeah. But from the same token, we hear from a lot of people that are not couples in business. They often say, I would never be able to work with my partner. It would be the death of us, right? That's what we hear a lot. And, we know each other so well that sometimes it gets us in boiling water because we assume, or we have assumptions around how the other one is going to take the news or think about this. And this is what we're working on right now a lot because of 30 years. We're able to anticipate how the other person will be or react, or we, based on the past, when we hear this tone or when we hear this word, we assume that this means this, but that's not always true. So the key is to always stay current and relevant and working, not basing ourselves on what we know of each other before, and always renewing, like skin renews every so often years. Seven. Well, same for us. We grow, we renew, and most of our bickering or most of our disagreements are usually around misconceptions or misperception or misinterpretation is the word I was looking for. Thank you. And based on what I knew from the past or what she knew from the past or how I've reacted before. And that's insanity, right? That's recreating the past and the future all the time, even though you don't want it. So we're working on that a lot. And by going there in the conversation, I completely lost what the original question was.
Oh, just all of this is really good. So you guys must have, you must have had your ups and downs over the years. And what's a brave conversation you guys have had to have together?
We have not had any tough conversations. Not kidding. Yeah. I mean, we've had so many. We almost actually left each other 3 times in our very, very closely. Like it wasn't just like, we were consciously leaving each other. And we've had obviously lots of tough conversations. One of them in particular, I'll let you share the one about this place. I'll share the one about Vietnam. We sold our first business in 2005. And we took 2006 off completely to travel and rejuvenate. See, we started a business really early in our life and in our relationship. And so we have something that we call the curse of the capable. We're overly responsible, overly achievers. And we needed a bloody break at like 32 or 33 years old. So we sold our business, went traveling the globe for a year. And at the beginning of the year, it's fun because it's all new and you're on vacation basically for a while. But towards the year ended, we started to have conversation around who am I? Because I did not know who I was without that organization, without that business. I had really associated myself with it. And so the conversation.
And you were towards the end of the year, you were already having an itch that you needed to start getting clear on what's the new thing. What am I gonna do? Whereas I was like, I don't know, maybe we need more than a year. Like I'm not ready to create something else yet.
Yeah, Margarita and I don't have the same rhythms at all for many, many things. Like I'm much faster. She's she gets slower.
Up at like 4 a.m. I do not.
Yeah, yeah. So, but in that year, once we got to a point where it was, the end of the year off is near and we need to start conversing about what we want, what we don't want. Oh, that was a tough one. And I remember being in Vietnam with friends of ours. They were new in a relationship.
Yeah.
Big contrast with us that were thinking of breaking up. So they were, a little thing on their door, do not disturb, we're a new couple. And we were like, please disturb, we're an old couple. But we had conversations there in Vietnam about leaving each other. And
it was actually funny, not funny, but funny now, I guess.
Yeah.
We were actually stuck in a very small town. It wasn't a tourist place in Vietnam. It was like this tiny little village that we were just supposed to go there and take a boat to get to an island.
Yeah.
But it was so stormy that the boats weren't able to go. So we had to stay in this village where there was no English, like none. And we were forced to stay in our hotel room. So
it was torrential downpours too. I mean,
so we were like, we didn't at that moment, we were so needing space because we were not getting along and we were forced to stay in like the same room.
No TV, no radio, bad pillows, one bed, arguments, right? It's like, oh my God, how are we going to survive Phu Quoc Island in Vietnam? But every time we give ourselves some space, every time we go back to, we do love each other. We do want the best for one another. I want the best for me and for her. She wants the best for her and for me. So then we open up, once the emotions are out, we can have an intelligent, strategic discussion like we would have in business with a client when the shit hits the fan. You know, we don't start freaking out and crying when the shit hits the fan in business. Why do we do that in personal? Well, because it's personal and because it's emotional. But once we're able to set that aside, we're able to actually go, hey, let's put all the shit from the garage on the lawn and let's decide what stuff gets back into the garage. And that's how we decided many things in our life. So that's what's definitely a pivotal point in our relationship, because from there we decided to renew our commitment. So for a year, every day, we would say, assuming we felt it, of course, today I choose you. Every day we would consciously choose each other. It got us present and it got us in the flow of this is a choice that we're staying together because we don't have to, right? So, and then do you want to share? Is there time for sharing another?
Oh yeah. We
for
want to
sure.
hear. We got to hear the other story.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. So that story led to us starting Leap Zone. I'm pretty sure way earlier than when I was ready to start, but we started it. And so early on in Leap Zone, probably 3 years in, I was pretty miserable. And I was like, and we were doing well. Yeah. And we had transitioned, because with our first company, we were really a creative firm. And with the creative firm, we were trying to enter the strategic market and really work with companies from the inside out. And it was really hard to have that transition happen being known as a creative firm, which is why we sold that company and started Leap Zone as a strategic company. And so we were doing that and it was going well, it was great, but I wasn't happy. Like, it wasn't fulfilling me. And I needed more than to be in a business about business. So, and over the years, I have always had a passion for horses. And I never had them growing up. I didn't really have a chance to be around them growing up. But I've always, like, every time I would visit a ranch or I'd be around them, I would just light up and I'd have this connection with them. And so, so I started taking riding lessons and just integrating horses into my life that way. And then it became clear to me at one point, when I was writing a book, actually, that I wanted to work with horses. I didn't know how. I didn't know exactly, how that would play out, having a strategic branding company. But I thought, we can make this work. We can make it. But I had to have this conversation with her.
We position things for a living. Sure, we can position that.
And so, and just to give the picture, we're in a 700 square foot condo in Yaletown in Vancouver, like very downtown, right? So very city, I had to travel an hour out every week to go do my riding lessons and be with horses. And now here I am going, I want to work with them and we're going to do this somehow. And then it got clearer over time that it was going to be a retreat center and that we would incorporate. But first, I still needed to share with her my unhappiness and that I was being called to work with horses. So, and truly, through her going to horse lessons, and I mean, when she wasn't happy in the business, of course, if you're not happy in the business, at some point it spills into other areas. And while she was finding herself, I was finding myself with less and less support from her. So that actually played a big role in our relationship. And how do we deal with, I like being in business with my partner. We make a really great team. You said it yourself. Between the two of you, you're one atom, you complete. Same thing for me. But now I felt like half of me was wanting to do or be someone else, or meaning do someone else. No, that never came into play. But hey, do something else?
Do something else. Yes. And through that, we had a lot of tough conversations because, I didn't have the support. She still felt like she needed to give the support, but her heart wasn't in it. So you can imagine the mess of that, and of course we have to deliver our genius with our clients amidst all of that. Mm-hmm. So one day she's like, hey, think we can integrate horses in what we do? And I went, I hope you're talking about horsepower and a motorcycle engine here, because I'm not quite sure, you know. But of course we can. Horses are amazing tools. They're lie detectors, they're feedback, they give real feedback. And we thought, of course we can integrate that in our coaching, in our work. In fact, our work is way more, one, fulfilling, but also resultful as a result of.
But it's not here. Like, that's not a traditional way of seeing horses, right?
No.
Most of the time it's some kind of sport that horses are used for, or work, like farming. And so to work with them in more of a, it's called equine facilitated learning, where it's basically coaching in the presence of horses.
And horses are mirrors. They mirror.
They read energy and reflect it.
So that's why I said they're lie detectors, because you could say, oh, I'm doing well, or yeah, you don't even know what's going on in you, but the horses know, and they act out. They're basically little actors on the field, and they act out what is going on. And she is a master at translating horse behavior into something that human beings can understand, assimilate, and do something about. So our work has gotten so much more transformative and deep and meaningful as a result. And that's the depth that she was missing from the previous side of the business.
Oh, this is so fascinating.
It's fascinating to me anyway. And being more fulfilled on my part of the business now, obviously makes this more fulfilling too, and in our business and in our life, because I'm not miserable.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good. I appreciate your guys' willingness to share, struggles you've gone through, as well as, the joys that you've experienced too.
Oh, for sure.
So that's really good. And what other structures do you have in place now to help you both flow together?
Go ahead.
Well, this is actually where we apply some business strategies. Because some of the things that help a business flow, when you apply them to a relationship, can help your relationship flow. So like, for instance, Isabelle mentioned earlier that we all naturally have different rhythms, right? So to meet up on something, to leave it to chance, it's less likely to happen, right? So we plan. And one thing we plan is our spontaneity, which every time we say that, people are like, huh?
What? Isn't that the contrary of spontaneity? I'm like, no, because if you don't plan, we don't plan what we're going to do. We plan a block
of time
to allow us to do the spontaneous thing. Because it's like if a business says, oh, wouldn't it be nice one day when all goes well, we're going to take some vacation, or we're going to close and take some vacation. Well, if you don't plan it in the architecture, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So for us in our private life, the way we would plan things in our business, we plan what's important, block off the time for what's important, and then put the work around it. Same thing in our relationship. We have things that we do every week that the time is separated. It's actually blocked off. We don't know what we're going to do. We know that we will do. And that allows us to spend quality time together and never falling prey to the, we're never spontaneous. We never have time. We never take time to do this. Yeah, well, the time is there.
Or blame, right? One of us always being busy at the time that the other one wants to go do something. So if the time is there for the both of us, then we're both showing up for that.
And the premise behind all that, the catalyst for this that we've realized that got us to develop these 3 points, be brave together, flow together, grow together, in our TED Talk, is this premise. We treat our relationship like we would treat $1 million client. See, in business, we take the time to be present and to help and to do whatever we need to do to help $1 million client. And why? Because, we're responsible. We're good at what we do. We want people to experience the best of us. But why is it that when it comes to our relationship, or when it comes to personal relationship, people get to exhaustion, they don't have time, they don't take the time, they always put themselves last on the totem pole, therefore you never get to the thing you want to do or get to do. So if we're to treat ourselves, even in our business, the same as we would a client, an important, it doesn't have to be $1 million, an important client on our roster, of course, we would treat ourselves exactly the same. So at work, we are a client of ourselves. When we have things to do, a book to launch, we book it like we would a regular client. We assign timelines, we assign budgets, we assign these things like we would. So we borrowed that in our personal relationship, and that's where those strategies came from.
Oh, that's amazing. I am just so inspired by you guys because, I've known you for a number of years now, Isabelle, and as I said before, I had you speak. When I had the network, I'd have you come and speak at the network and different events and stuff. And when you suddenly, I remember when you suddenly were like, oh, because you were kind of at the height, wouldn't you say, of like your speaking and your Leap Zone TV in Vancouver, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we're just going to move to the island and it was curious, like, because people would ask me, who's the, tell me some speakers. I need some speakers for my event. You'd always be on my list, like, oh, you have to call Isabelle, you have to, and it's like, where's Isabelle going? And then now to know your guys' story, to hear your guys' story, this is so heartwarming and inspiring to me that if you, Margarita, if you had not had that, brave conversation, where would you guys be at now?
You know what? Honestly,
yeah,
we might not even be together anymore because she would have been totally bummed or not sparked. And we would have, who knows where we would be for sure. And I mean, and we've had in moments, I brought in super duper conversations where I don't know where we would have been. This one was a truly pivotal one for sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And it was huge because I wasn't saying, hey, I'm not happy in our business, let's start, I'd like to go make flower arrangements, like something where I could have stayed in the city. No, the thing I wanted required property. It required land to have horses, right? And we did the search on the mainland, but it wasn't feeling right because we knew that the retreat concept was coming into play. And then when we arrived here on the island, we were like, no, this is it.
And I think the biggest thing for you, why it was such a brave conversation, is because she knows me really well. So I'm a city girl.
Yeah.
I value freedom over life. I value freedom over life, which is ridiculous to say, but true. And we were mortgage free in Yaletown, successful business, free as birds.
You're right. And she was really soaring at that point.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, going to live in a new space, which is beautiful, magical property. But, we're deep in the woods. And so I'm like, wow, I'm an urban. I like to see people and go speak at events. Of course, I take flights and I take boats to make that happen, of course, because that's part of who I am and what I do. But then we went from no mortgage to very high mortgage. And so I traded off for love a lot of freedom.
However, I worked with her because we came to visit the island for a week before buying anything here to see really, like, are we gonna be miserable here or are we gonna enjoy it, right? And the first thing that I had her do, we took the ferry to come stay here for a week, and I think the next day I drove her to Harbor Air and I put her on a float plane so that she could see that in 20 minutes she could be from here to downtown Vancouver whenever she wanted to be, right?
Yeah.
I knew this was going to be an important piece for her.
Strategic move on her part.
It was very strategic, and so strategic that you don't really have very rarely will you say, I want to go.
And funny enough, because we went to Vancouver a lot for the preparation of this TEDx.
Yeah.
And every time we had an opportunity to stay 2 days, but we could squeeze just a 1 day, I would always opt to go, no, let's just go today. Let's not sleep over.
And I would give her the option, like, do you want to make a weekend of it? Do you want to? No, we're good. Let's go home.
Yeah. Miracles do happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it also is such a great testament, your guys' relationship, how you guys could have those conversations, the initial conversation, so brave. And then for you to respond like that, Isabelle, out of just, you guys are able to pivot your skills and your platform that you created and really make this happen in a way that's going to help so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew,
and we're both showing up more for
That's
it,
right.
so we're helping even more.
We
than
knew
were
that it was
before.
going to be
Yeah.
more potent, because if she shows up fully and I show up fully, we all win.
Mhm.
Shows up half-assed because she's not really enjoying herself, and I pick up a bunch of slack because there's an over. That's not
There's
a good way.
resentment
There's
and-
yeah. So we had to find a good middle. And you know what? You guys, you're entrepreneurs. As entrepreneurs, what do? We problem solve. It's one of the very first criteria of being a good entrepreneur, is to solve problems. So we thought, this is just another problem to solve.
That's great. Well, so tell us a little more then about your center there and what you're doing and how you're helping people.
Yeah, Trailblazers. We named it Trailblazers.
Oh, that's awesome.
By the way, we fell in love with this property. We saw just a few properties here on the island, 2 only on the island. This one was a coup de cœur. I don't know how to say that in English, but love at first sight, I guess.
Yep.
And, you know, we had the vision right away when we saw this property. We knew that it was going to be perfect. So this is a magical 5.5 acres. Beautiful retreat center where we welcome entrepreneurs and thought leaders and business owners, and we help them pivot, reposition. We help them create new sources of value for their clients. We have a variety of different retreats. We've got group retreats that are themed. And of course, we utilize, I wouldn't say that, we leverage and we partner with our horses so that they're part of the retreats, whether it's private retreats where we literally, it's up to 7 people from one company, where we look under the hood of their business, pivot, rejig, re-architecturalize, depending on what we need to do. But truly we work with the horses and our clients. And then of course, when it's group retreats, it's 7 people from different businesses and different walks of life that are coming to learn about a particular subject, like unbridling your inner, owning your badassery is one of our retreats that utilizes a lot of Margarita's genius in the horses.
Well, we actually found a way to boil it down really simply between what she does and what I do.
Yeah.
And Isabelle helps entrepreneurs with their outcome, whatever outcomes they want with their business and life. And I help them overcome. So me partnering with the horses helps people overcome, move through the things that are in the way to the outcomes.
Yeah, so our whole business of 3 divisions of strategy and retreat, coaching and branding and marketing, these 3 big divisions truly can be boiled down to 2 words, as she said, right? Outcome, overcome. And
Nice.
she brought the overcome part that was truly needed from what we did before, but didn't have a good enough tool. It was good, but it wasn't this good.
Oh, wow. We need to go there.
Yeah, we do.
I agree.
I agree too. Yeah.
So I am so curious. You know, you had this lifelong dream, Marguerite, about the horses.
Mhm.
And so how are you finding it? Like, is it just exactly like, it's so amazing to me that you had that dream. You didn't even have them as children or anything. Like, I grew up in Cloverdale by the racetrack, and I had a lot of friends that had horses and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so I kind of had an idea of what it was like, but you didn't even grow up with it. So how are you finding it? Like, how is it everything you dreamed of?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's, you know, in terms of the work that I do with them, in terms of waking up in the morning, looking out my window and they're all there, like that's a dream come true for me. And I'm very fulfilled in that work. And the horses that are here are amazing. And then it's like people who want to start a business because they have a passion for cooking. But then they get into the cooking, which is great, but there's this business they have to do, right? So with the horses, it's like, yeah, the work is amazing and they're awesome. And there's like, oh wait, okay, manure management. And there's, you know, like you have to, there's the other side of it too.
They poo a lot. Yeah.
And eat a lot.
They eat a lot, they poo a lot. There's always something, there's always one that has a cut or something going on. There's always a vet here at some point in the week. But those things are part of the deal. There are trade-offs for every decisions that we make. There are pros and cons, and then there are trade-offs. As I said, I traded off a lot of freedom. Margarita traded off a bunch of other things, of course, to be here. But when the passion and the overall fulfillment outweighs the shit sandwiches, it's a winning equation. And I remember when we were looking for this place, because of my freedom requirement, we had a list of requirements. Things like, we need to be 40 minutes from an international airport at the maximum. We need water views. We need 5 acres minimum. We need 5 bedrooms minimum. We need this. We need an impeccable home that was owned by OCD people. I mean, we went all out.
Well, because we didn't want to, we know nothing about renovations. We were like, we can't go to find a place and then be stuck in like a money pit of fixing things all the time, right? Yeah. So it has to be at a certain level.
This has to be turnkey, And literally we got like 9.5 out of all the points, but that's because, again, it's a testament to writing things down and being clear and asking for what you want. Because a lot of people, they may know what they want, but they keep focusing on what they don't want, or their fear or their worries, or they're catastrophizing things. But when you, where focus goes, or where focus goes, energy flows. Yeah. So we focused on exactly what we would want, and it's mind-boggling. We wrote it, we designed the vision, it's pretty. And when we looked at it after, we're like, oh my God, like it's to the T, it's actually pretty amazing.
Oh, that's really amazing.
Awesome. Hey, so how about we get into our speed round?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions, and you just give me the first answer that comes to your head. One of you can do it, both of you can do it, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
So what do both of you do for fun?
Motorcycle riding.
Hang out with my horses.
Horsepower in both
different ways.
Yeah, similar. One's a motor. Okay, good. What's your favorite quote?
There's so many, but the one that came to mind is well done is better than well said. What's yours?
Love is not what you do, love is what you are.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
Who has inspired you the most?
My mom has definitely been a great inspiration for me, but in business or in day-to-day, Simon Sinek is quite an inspiring individual for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite inspired by Elizabeth Gilbert. Because I'm a writer by trade. So her journey and, just what she shares, I find her very inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite book?
Oh, that's hands down Essentialism by Greg McKeown. That is one of my top absolute must read. If you want to work with me, you must read this book. So yeah, Essentialism.
It's a good one.
Yeah, you live and breathe that.
I do.
For me, it's an Elizabeth Gilbert book. It's called Big Magic, and it's all about creative living and creativity in living. And I find it's really well done.
Nice. And what is a really good tool or resource you could recommend?
The tool that I use the most every day is called Voxer. It's an application on your phone that turns your phone into a walkie-talkie, basically. And you can record things that people can listen later. I'm a dyslexic human being, therefore writing emails, not my forte. So I communicate with my clients, I communicate with my team, I communicate with my family, all through Voxer.
And you can create groups or do one-on-one, like it's pretty versatile.
And it has changed my life, but it also has changed my clients' lives because I'm way more personable with them. It's not about writing emails and corresponding through writing. It's hearing my voice, getting some of my coaching in between coaching sessions through Voxer. So, and even when people email me, people I don't even know, I'll respond to them by voice through Voxer, and I'll put the link into the email. And that's because of my disability, but truly what it does is it creates a lot more personability, and people are mind-boggled that I would take the time to respond to them by voice.
Oh, I love your guys' birthday things.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
Surprise and delight.
Yeah. That's great. You always send us a birthday wish. It's so awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. It's one of our touch points. For me, something I refer to quite a lot, it's another book, and it's called Heal Your Body, and it's by Louise Hay. And it's the mental causes to physical illness. And I find, especially with the work that I do, I find it's always relevant. Like the other day, I looked up virus just because I was like, well, that seems pretty relevant in today's world, And the mental cause for virus boiled down to a lack of joy. Which I thought.
And so when you know the cause in the body, then the cause of energy, you can actually start shifting your thinking. And by shifting your thinking, of course, you shift your reality, right?
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, thanks for sharing those with us. Now, I want to just get back a little bit to how people can connect with you and a little more about your retreat center. So would corporate or groups book with you, or do you have retreats that you will invite people to, or both?
Yeah, both. Yeah, exactly. So the best place to even see, we have an amazing video highlighting our retreat center on our website. So the best place is to go to leapzonestrategies.com. And on there's Leap TV, Leap Tools, there's our TED Talks, and there's also a section called Retreats, and a section called also Business Horsepower. So there's lots of information there. Information's about our themed retreats. And then the best way to really have a conversation with us to see which retreat, is it private, is it how we can best help you, is through filling out our needs assessment, which is at leapzonestrategies.com/rise. Just doing that needs assessment is actually massively valuable for you. It's a completely free process
in itself.
Yeah. And this is just to allow us to get a glimpse of where you're at in your business, where you want to be, what your biggest challenges are, and so that we can be impactful from the get-go in our first conversation. And then we can establish what's the best way that we can help you achieve, reduce the pain and increase the opportunity.
Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. Good. Well, is there anything else you guys want to add to let our audience know about you?
You know, I think
well, we can share what we're giving away.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we created, while Margarita launched a book last year, her book is called Sitting on the Fence. Do you want to just show that? Sitting on the Fence, How to Love Without Limits. And through the launch of this book, and you can get access to this book on our website, but through the launch of this book, we created, Margarita and I was part of that, but that was your series, created an inner rock star expert interview series. And we would love to make those available to your community of course, for free. So
wow.
I feel like they're very relevant to what's going on right now in the world. So
Nice.
Why not share them? Right?
Why not share them?
Yeah.
And we'll give you the link for that, but it's basically leapzonestrategy/inner rock star. And
oh, wonderful. What a nice gift.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you for that beautiful gift.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We will put all those in the show notes and, links to your TED Talks and all of that. So that's great. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah. The thing is all about, I would just say, hey, if you're in business and if you're a couple in business, there's lots to be learned from business to the couple into the relationship, and from the relationship back into the business. And to me, that gives a leg up. When you work with people that you know really well and you know their strengths, and you can amplify the strengths and minimize the weaknesses, I think that's a huge leg up. And we look forward to possibly, answering some questions or commenting from the show from today. Of course, we're always welcoming of intelligent, savvy, and soulful conversations. So anytime that we can possibly come back to your podcast or other things that you're also doing, we're all in, because we truly love you guys and we love what you're doing as well.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's interview with Isabelle and Margarita. Always an inspiring story to hear how long they've been together personally, but also working together. I really enjoyed hearing that.
Yes, so many inspiring stories, and even more than what we had time to share today. So check the show notes at inspiringshow.com, because all of their links that they mentioned will be there.
So remember, until next time, you have a story and your story matters.